Hey peoples, this is another movie review of Marriage Story. As always, I want to say thank you for listening, that really means a lot to me. And on to the review. So Marriage Story is pretty simple. It's about a stage director and his wife, who's an actress, in the middle of a divorce. And that's the movie. As you see, the premise of the movie is very simple, but this movie is absolutely incredible because of the acting, writing, and directing. Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver are just astounding to watch act together. And I'm even more blown away by Adam Driver because I just saw him in a movie called The Report, which I'll review soon, but he acts completely different in that versus this movie, and it just blows my mind. The emotions they bring forth in this film really impact the audience. Arguments, loving moments, simple dialogue, all of that feels authentic because of the way they deliver it. The emotional moments in this movie are just so emotional. Yes, I'm amazing with words, but I don't know any other word to explain it. They just really impact you, so every situation feels like it has so much weight added to it. And not to say they're the only ones, because everyone does a great job in this movie. Honestly, if I could get a whole show based off of Scarlett Johansson's family with her mom and her sister, I would take that, specifically her sister. I want to see more of her. I was kind of disappointed we didn't get that much of her in this movie because she seems like a character. Also, Ray Liotta's in this movie, and he's one of my favorite actors. I love seeing him pop up anywhere. He's just a presence on screen always. But anyway, I want to step back to the emotion. Now, the reason it works is because of the directing and writing. It's not that they are emoting so much and you really feel their energy when they're acting. You do, but it's the actions that they take while the emotional moments are going on. Usually when we see arguing or emotional moments in a movie or someone telling a sad story, they're sitting in one place talking to someone and they're just stagnant. They're doing that because they want you to focus on this moment. It's precious, it's important, and they want you to really feel that emotion. But that's not necessarily real life. Usually people don't like telling their sad stories, so we move around, we fidget, we procrastinate, we do other things when someone asks us to share our emotions, and they do that well in this movie. But well coupled with the great directing is the writing, and it shows you how well they work together right at the beginning of the film when both characters are talking about each other in a loving way, and it seamlessly transitions into a room where they're talking about divorce. It just flows so well together throughout the film. One of my favorite parts in this movie is that people talk over one another or talk at the same time. Now, usually in movies, of course, it's like, you talk, now it's your turn to talk, now it's your turn to talk. In this movie, we have multiple times where characters are just speaking over one another. And it's not always because of arguments. Of course, people yell over one another during arguments, but these are just normal conversations where two people might be talking at the same time to one individual, and yet you can still clearly hear what each person is saying. And the way that was presented just feels so natural, and it resulted in me watching multiple scenes over and over and over again because I really enjoyed that part of the movie. Now, the writing isn't all doom and gloom and sad throughout the whole movie. There are comedic moments that are really enjoyable, but there are a few comedic moments that don't seem to fit. One specific scene that sticks out to me involves Scarlett Johansson on the set of a TV show. For some reason, the comedy in that doesn't seem to fit the rest of the film. It's very sharp and quirky and quick, and it kind of reminded me of something that either Wes Anderson would write or Taika Waititi, something like that. And I really liked it a lot. I didn't have any problems with it. It just felt like it was a different person that wrote that specific scene versus the comedy just a few scenes later where Scarlett Johansson is in the kitchen with her family and the situation is more serious but still very comedic, and it seems to flow with the rest of the film. But that's just something that poked out to me while I was watching the movie. And since I've slipped into a somewhat negative section, let me mention another negative in regards to the writing. So one of this movie's messages is about divorce, how it affects a mom, the dad, the child, how the world looks at it, how friends look at it, the procedures around it in regards to courts and who pays whose lawyer and that whole ordeal. And it's pretty much showing how much a mess the whole divorce thing is in regards to the government and how people look at it. Now, for the most part, it tells that story pretty smoothly, but there are a few moments where it does get a little preachy and it feels more like a speech versus normal conversation. Like, this is how society looks at this. Yes, it's wrong, it's messed up, but that's just the way things are. And the way it was presented and framed really took me out of the film, and I didn't like that part about the movie. But anyway, just to mention a few more things, this movie sometimes feels like a play for multiple reasons. One big reason is that the scenes fade differently than a normal film. For instance, let's say a character is about to walk out of a room. Usually in a normal movie, you'd see them walk out the room, close the door, and then we cut to the next scene. In this movie, they don't do that. The character will be sitting in the chair. When they stand up to walk out of the door, as they walk around the chair, it'll start fading. I don't know if I necessarily like that. It is an aesthetic that fits the film because it could represent how time just flows in this movie. Nothing is just hard cut. It seems like these are just moments in their lives that we're seeing, and we as an audience are passing fluidly through their timeline. But I still don't know if I liked it. Also, the music sticks out to me. It just seemed extra loud and seemed to guide the emotion sometimes and sometimes overpower the scene for me. Oh, one more thing I forgot to talk about is a little flaw in the script section. So there's a scene where I believe a social worker is coming to visit the dad and the son, to see if the dad is being a good dad and all that good stuff. So before the lady comes, Adam Driver's character calls over his son and says, hey, there's a lady that's coming over to eat with us and she's going to observe us and blah, 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 blah. And the little boy says, is it your girlfriend? And then the dad says no. And then the kid says, is it mommy's boyfriend? But the dad just said it was a lady coming over, and so that felt like it was forcing the script so the dad could then proceed to have a conversation about the mom's boyfriend, like, oh, does mommy have a boyfriend? What's going on there? It was a flaw that stuck out to me because it didn't make any sense. Also maybe because the kid might be annoying and I was like, the kid's dumb. I have no idea. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out. And one last random thing. Can someone explain to me why the babysitter had her pants unbuckled? That was kind of weird. I didn't understand that whatsoever. She was awkward. But that's all, peoples. I do suggest watching this movie. It is a really great movie. One of the best I've seen this year. The acting is incredible. It blew me away. I love the directing and the writing. Everything in this movie works so well. And also you learn a couple things, which is really good. And it might make you look at your own relationship a certain way and maybe marriage a certain way. Maybe not in the most positive way, but you could probably learn some lessons that prevent you from getting divorced if you decide to get married. But anyway, if you've seen it, please let me know down in the comments because I really appreciate those comments. Thank you for the likes and the thumbs ups and the retweets and the subscribing, all that great stuff. I really appreciate it. Thank you for listening. Please continue to have a great day. God bless. I'll talk to you later.